The Yarlung Tsangpo, known as the Brahmaputra in India, is more than just a river. It is a lifeline. Originating in the Tibetan Plateau, it traverses almost 2,900 kilometers, flowing through China, India, and Bangladesh. For millennia, its waters have nourished civilizations, shaped landscapes, and sustained ecosystems. The Brahmaputra is particularly crucial for India's northeast. This region, home to millions, relies on the river for agriculture, drinking water, and transportation. The Brahmaputra's annual floods, while sometimes destructive, also replenish the fertile soil, making it a vital artery for the region's economy. The river holds immense cultural and spiritual significance for the people living in its basin. From ancient myths to religious rituals, the Brahmaputra is deeply intertwined with the cultural fabric of the region. Its waters are considered sacred, and its banks are dotted with temples and pilgrimage sites. The Brahmaputra, therefore, is not just a source of water. It is a symbol of life, faith, and cultural identity for the people of the region. High on the Tibetan Plateau, China is constructing a massive dam on the Yarlung Tsangpo. This project, shrouded in secrecy, has raised alarm bells in downstream countries, particularly India. China claims the dam is primarily for generating hydroelectric power, a clean and renewable source of energy. The dam, upon completion, is projected to generate an enormous amount of electricity, bolstering China's growing energy needs. The project, according to Chinese authorities, will contribute to reducing carbon emissions and combating climate change. However, the lack of transparency surrounding the dam's construction, its exact specifications, and its potential downstream impact has fueled suspicion and distrust. The Chinese government has released limited information about the dam's design, capacity, and operational plans. This lack of transparency has heightened concerns among downstream countries who fear the dam could be used as a tool of political leverage. The potential for the dam to disrupt the natural flow of the river, especially during critical times, has added another layer of complexity to the issue. The dam's location in a seismically active region near the Indian border adds to strategic concerns. Its proximity to the disputed India-China border raises suspicions about military applications. India relies heavily on the Brahmaputra's waters, making it vulnerable to upstream manipulation. Concerns include potential disruption of water flow during crucial agricultural seasons. The dam could give China leverage over India, especially during droughts or political tensions. The potential for the dam to be used as a weapon cannot be ignored.
Downstream communities, particularly in India's northeastern states, live with a constant sense of uncertainty and fear. The Brahmaputra's flow is their lifeblood, and any alteration to it directly impacts their lives and livelihoods.
The livelihoods of millions of farmers, fishermen, and boatmen depend on the Brahmaputra's natural flow. Any disruption caused by the dam, whether intentional or accidental, could have devastating consequences for these communities.
Their concerns are not unfounded. The unpredictable nature of the river, coupled with the potential for China to manipulate its flow, has created a climate of anxiety. The lack of information and consultation from the Chinese side further fuels these fears. The absence of a joint monitoring mechanism, where both countries share real-time data on the river's flow, amplifies the sense of vulnerability among downstream communities. Section 5. When the dam breaks, past floods and future anxieties. Past incidents of sudden water release from dams in China have led to devastating floods in India. In 2014, a massive flood in the Brahmaputra Basin caused widespread destruction and displacement. These incidents heighten fears that the new dam could exacerbate flash flood risks. The lack of early warning systems in India magnifies these risks. The potential for cascading disasters is a terrifying prospect. Building a massive dam in a seismically active region raises concerns about structural integrity. Section 6. A muffled cry. Voices from the Brahmaputra Basin. The voices of those most affected, the communities living in the Brahmaputra Basin, are often unheard in the geopolitical chess game. Local communities, heavily dependent on the river's resources, have expressed their concerns about the potential impact of the dam on their livelihoods and way of life. Their concerns range from water scarcity during the dry season to the loss of fertile land due to changes in the river's flow patterns. However, their pleas for transparency and consultation have largely been ignored. The lack of access to information and the absence of a platform to voice their concerns have left these communities feeling marginalized and vulnerable.
The environmental impact assessments conducted by China have been criticized for their limited scope and lack of transparency.
Section 7 Diplomatic Overtures, India's response to China's dam. India has raised concerns with China about the dam's construction and its potential downstream impact. India has consistently urged China to address its concerns regarding the dam's potential impact on water security and the environment. The Indian government has raised these concerns through diplomatic channels, seeking greater transparency and cooperation from China. However, these efforts have yielded limited results.
China has maintained that the dam is primarily for hydroelectric power generation and will not harm downstream countries. Despite these assurances, India remains apprehensive. There is a distinct lack of trust between the two countries, fueled by a history of border disputes and strategic rivalry. This lack of trust spills over into water issues, making cooperation and information sharing a significant challenge. Section 8. A river runs through it. The geopolitics of water. The Brahmaputra River, once a symbol of shared heritage, is increasingly becoming a point of contention between India and China. The Brahmaputra issue is not just about water. It is a microcosm of the larger geopolitical tensions between India and China. It reflects the growing competition for resources, strategic mistrust, and the potential for conflict in the region. The dam has become a symbol of China's growing assertiveness in the region and its willingness to leverage its control over transboundary rivers to further its strategic interests. The Brahmaputra issue underscores the need for a new framework for transboundary water cooperation in the region, one that prioritizes equitable sharing, transparency, and mutual benefit. The lack of a multilateral water-sharing agreement involving all the riparian countries adds another layer of complexity.
Section 9. The Brahmaputra's fragile ecosystem, a looming crisis. The potential environmental impact of the dam is a major concern. The construction of the dam and its associated infrastructure could have significant environmental consequences impacting biodiversity, fish migration, and sediment flow. The dam's impact on the river's natural flow could disrupt the delicate balance of the Brahmaputra's ecosystem.
Changes in water flow, temperature, and sediment load could harm fish populations, disrupt migratory patterns, and degrade downstream habitats. The Brahmaputra River is home to a rich diversity of aquatic life, including the endangered Ganges River dolphin. The dam's construction could further threaten these fragile ecosystems and push some species closer to extinction. The long-term ecological consequences of damming such a mighty river are still not fully understood, adding to the uncertainty and concern. Section 10. Navigating the waters. India's path forward. India faces a complex challenge in navigating the Brahmaputra River issue. India needs to adopt a multi-pronged strategy to address the challenges posed by China's dam on the Brahmaputra. This includes strengthening its own water management practices, enhancing its diplomatic efforts, and exploring alternative solutions for water security. It also needs to invest in early warning systems and disaster preparedness mechanisms to mitigate the risks of floods. India must prioritize the development of a robust water-sharing agreement with China based on the principles of equitable utilization, transparency, and mutual benefit. Such an agreement should include provisions for data sharing, joint monitoring, and a dispute resolution mechanism. India needs to work with other downstream countries, Bangladesh and Bhutan, to present a united front and exert collective pressure on China for greater transparency